In this video, we'll be going over IRS notice CP081. So this is a tax notice that you might get from the Internal Revenue Service if there is a possible credit on your tax account for a tax return that you have not yet filed and the statute of limitations for claiming this refund is about to expire. So in another video, which we'll link to in the show notes, we discussed IRS notice CP080, which simply reflects that you have a tax credit available on your account and that you need to file your tax return in order to have that credit allowed or to claim that credit. So in this one, the additional step is you might be at risk of having the statute of limitations expire on your ability to claim this credit. So you should take immediate action. Let's go ahead and go to the top right corner of the form. We'll walk through the information that's not redacted. So there's the notice number, CP081. There is the notice date, in this case, October 10th, 2011. Taxpayer ID number, tax period, and the form number. So on the left-hand side, you would see the IRS address, the taxpayer address, and then the amount of the credit that might be at risk. So a point that I always like to make in these videos is that you should keep your address on file with the IRS up to date. So if you've moved since filing your most recent tax return, you should consider filing IRS Form 8822, which is the official change of address form that notifies the IRS of your new location. If you moved just prior to filing your tax return and you listed your new address on your tax return, then you don't need to file this form because you're filing your tax return will prompt the IRS to update your tax record with your new address. You can also call the IRS at their 800 number, validate your taxpayer information, and then change your address over the phone. And the reason why this is important is because two things. One, notices from the IRS usually have some sort of timeline. So if you need to take action, there might be a deadline that you're supposed to meet. And the IRS's default position is if you don't respond or if your notice is lost in the mail and you don't have an opportunity to respond, the IRS is just going to keep proceeding in the direction that they indicated in the notice. And there are a lot of due dates sometimes attached to a notice. So it's important that you give yourself every opportunity to stay on top of IRS correspondence, especially since no one knows when they're going to get a notice from the IRS. So it probably will happen when you're least expecting it because you're never expecting it. So the other reason is because you have some sensitive information that you might not want people to know about. So keep your address up to date with the IRS so that your correspondence goes to the correct address. So let's take a look. So right here to the left, it explains your situation. There's a tax credit or a payment that's been credited to your account for the form number, the tax period shown above. There is a statute of limitations, so you need to file your tax return to reconcile this information and be able to rightfully claim that credit. So if you have not filed the tax return, then you should file it today. Send your signed address return to the address up here, and then make sure that you attach any documents that you need to. In this case, the IRS will apply the credit to the tax that you might owe. They'll refund any overpayment if you don't owe anything else. So file your tax return. You'll get a refund if you're due to one. If you've already filed the return, then you're going to need to send a newly signed copy to the address up here. And you would need to attach all the forms and schedules that you included with your original return. And finally, if you want the credit transferred to another tax form, tax period, or a tax ID number, then you're going to need to call the IRS to work through those details. So outlines steps of what might happen if you don't If the IRS doesn't hear from you, basically you probably will lose this credit. Let's go ahead and take a look at this site link that walks you through what you should do with your CP081 notice. So again, this basically says this is a notice about a certain tax year and it's about to expire. Really quickly, we'll compare this to your 080 notice, where it doesn't really say anything about an expiring tax credit. So there's the information. You can call this 800 number right here. I'm not sure why it was redacted on a form, but then it's made publicly available on the website. But it basically reiterates what you have in your form already. So generally, you must file a tax return within 3 years from the due date to receive a refund of any overpayment on your account. So, for example, if you had a tax credit for the 2021 tax year, then you would look to the April 15th deadline of 2022. 3 years from that would be the time that you still have to file your tax return to claim that refund. So basically you would have up until the tax filing deadline in 2025 to do that. So that's all we have for this video. As I mentioned, we'll put links in the show notes to a couple of forms that we mentioned. We've written articles and produced videos about a couple of topics that might be important to you. We'll put links to those in the show notes. So if you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if there's any questions or comments, or if there's a topic that you'd like to see discussed in an upcoming video, hit me up in the comments section. Thank you very much and have a great day.